Hello and welcome to the Empowered by Design podcast. I am so excited for this episode. We have a very special guest on the podcast today, Vicky Alercia, licensed professional counselor and member of the Visionistas team. You have met Vicky before, and I am so excited to bring Vicky back on the podcast. Welcome, Vicky.
Hi, I'm excited to be back.
Me too. So you were here on episode number 61
Mhm.
a couple of years ago. And we were talking about you were a newly joined member of the Visionistas team, and
Yes.
it has been so amazingly fun to continue getting to know you and working with you, like just thinking about even yesterday, like popping into your office and chatting is one of
Mhm.
my favorite things to do about when I think about our work, our work
Mhm.
as therapists and counselors and healers and helpers, that it's so wonderful when you are in connection with other people who share in that spirit of empowerment and healing and growth. And it's just so wonderful to have you
Thank you.
here at Visionistas and here today on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Empowered by Design. I am your host, Dr. Liz, a hopeful romantic, mom of two beautiful souls, and partner to the love of my life. As an empowerment psychologist, I love helping people heal, grow, and shine. I am a love and relationship specialist and owner of Visionistas by Design Wellness Boutique, where we lead with love and empower you to fly. This podcast highlights the power of connection with inspiring conversations and calls for social justice advocacy to use our power for good, aligning our energy, body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit to manifest our dreams in life, love, and biz with intentional vision. Share the love, spread the power, dream, design, deliver. So today we are going to be talking about a couple of different things. It is coming up on almost your 1 year anniversary of releasing your second book,
Yes.
Our
Mhm.
Rose-Colored Glasses. That is
Yes.
so exciting. You released it last October 2022.
Mhm.
And we are also excited to announce the launch of your new program, A New
Mhm.
You, becoming the healthiest version of you after leaving narcissistic abuse.
Yes.
So tell us what's been going on with you since last we saw you. Tell us about all the fun things you've been doing.
I think the best way I can explain what I've been doing is in the one word, and that word is healing.
Hmm.
And that really ties in deeply to the program that I'm going to be talking about, because when I've been on the podcast before, it's been in relation to my divorce and trying to find me. And through finding me, I was led back to my family of origin, which brought up more healing. And so it's brought up a lot of challenges, but it's been beautiful. It's really
Hmm.
been a beautiful experience, and that's really why I want to share this program with the community, because it's not just knowledge that I've gained through school and trainings. Like, this is solely based on, not solely based on, but I mean, it's a lot of my personal experience, that this is between my education and my personal experience of toxicity in family dynamics and various relationships, and the I want to refrain from using the word crazy, the craziness of it, but it can really put you in a state where you feel kind of completely lost in who you are, and just trying to bring yourself back to you, or more so developing a new that is healthier. um so yeah, I mean, so that focus has been beautiful. Of course, I still have my side projects, my podcast that I host with Mark Kenny from Chestnut Hill College, and being a co-chair of the recently formed Lehigh Valley Domestic Violence Task Force has really been a beautiful experience as well, just coming together with so many local organizations, from schools to hospitals to law enforcement, and just the continued connection of individuals with just such beautiful hearts and understanding of the various forms of abuse, and just recognizing how much we need as individuals, as families, as a community, to continue to speak up about these very difficult and challenging conversations, because we just realize that we all need healing. Like, we all deserve to live healthy lives in every aspect possible. um and so, those I guess are my main projects. I'm probably missing something, but I think those are my main things that I've been up
Yes.
to.
Wow, I love hearing all of that. And yeah, I love that you focus on the word healing, right? That is what we do in our work. We help others heal, and we would be kind of not as honest as we can be to if we didn't recognize that we heal ourselves too, right?
Yeah.
We work to heal
Yeah.
ourselves personally. And then I love how you emphasize so much the power of connection and collaboration. And I think for us as women, and from that kind of feminist type of theoretical orientation, that we recognize that we can heal better when we are in connection with other people, right? So
Sure.
we can heal ourselves. We work to heal ourselves. Heal and grow and fly is something that I talk about all the time on this podcast, because
Hmm.
it is a continual process. We are healing,
Sure.
we are growing. We are healing, we are growing, and life continues to throw us things that may need us to kind of buckle down and heal for a period of
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And to be able to acknowledge that is so powerful. And I think
Sure.
powerful and empowering to
Hmm.
others who recognize, you know, you can see people who are professionals and they look like they've got it all together, and you never know what's going on, right? But
Right.
we as professionals, especially professional helpers, we have
Hmm.
that responsibility to make sure we're healing and we're doing all of the things that were our best versions of ourselves to help others as well. So I
Sure.
know we've talked about this before, but I think it's definitely important to recognize how much we work on ourselves as part of our work in helping others, right?
Absolutely.
We go to therapy, we collaborate, we consult, we read, we listen to podcasts, we do yoga, we
Hmm.
meditate, we have physical activity in our lives, we eat healthy, those kinds of things. In order to be able to help others, we have to be able to be our strongest version and healthiest in order to
Sure.
do what we're here to do.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, and I love too the task force. So you do so much, which is, I think, also one of the characteristics that sometimes we recognize as helpers. We we take on a lot, and it's
Yes.
helpful
Hmm.
to have people that we're in connection with, like the two of us have had
Hmm.
conversations where I love even you're saying, Liz, now let me just are you caring for yourself enough here, right? Like
Hmm.
I remember that conversation
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and that's what we need, right? We need people
Hmm.
in our lives who can give us feedback and empower us to make sure we are keeping track and doing what we need to do in a self-care kind of way in order to help others.
I think what made that, and I know exactly what conversation you're talking about, and I think what makes that so beautiful for me is that the reason why I was able to say it is because I know that you're an individual that's in a place to hear it,
Mm,
and I think that that statement even is a huge part that goes back to the program that I'm going to talk about, because we all deserve to feel heard and seen and understood. And I think the moment that we feel that, even just with one person, is the moment that we can start healing. The moment that, like, oh, I'm actually worthy enough to be heard, to be respected, to be, it's just, that's the beautiful part of healing.
yeah, I love that. And the trust, right? Like you said,
Sure.
you're in a place to hear, and you're also trusting that when someone's giving you feedback, it's coming from a place of love, right? Coming from a
Yes.
place of care and
Yes.
in your best interest as well.
Mhm.
I love that you really emphasized as well your attention and passion for speaking up and also helping
Mhm.
other people speak up. And that is just a beautiful part of life. And one of the pieces of this podcast that we focus on is empowerment and advocating for ourselves and for others in this world,
Mhm.
because that's such an important piece, is to use our voices and to advocate and speak up.
Absolutely. I agree. And it's scary. It's a scary thing to be vulnerable,
Oh yeah.
and understanding that. And I feel like that message that you just said, like the speaking up component, that's been cycling through my head a lot lately, just again in
Mm.
the various things that I've been trying to do. And there's ebbs and flows with that,
Oh
because there's
sure.
definitely moments where, like, the internal dialogue will strike up again, like the self-defeating thoughts and the imposter syndrome, and like, who am I to be speaking up about this? And then again, like the criticism, like, what is someone going to say, what is someone going to think? But then I think back to people that I look up to, and I might be going on a tangent here, but like some of the greatest leaders in the world that have spoken up about very serious topics. And there's a risk associated with that for speaking up. But then what's the domino effect from that? Like the strength that grows, the hope that grows.
Mm.
I just read an article yesterday in a Psychology Today magazine, and the title of the article was called How to Cultivate Hope.
Oh, I
And
love
it was probably one of the best articles I have read. And of course, I'm there underlining like every word. I underline only the things that are meaningful to me. So basically, I underline the whole article,
everything.
and then I make a photo of it, and then I send it out to like all the people in my circle. You got to read this. Like, it touched my heart. It's so beautiful. And I think I'm very sidetracked at this point. I don't even know what direction I'm going in, but but speaking up, right? Just
Yes,
like, just something small and simple that you hear and then you share, and then it just, it carries on from that.
absolutely.
It
Yes.
spreads.
Mhm.
Love can spread as quick as hate does, if not quicker. I hope
Better,
quicker.
better, and better. Yes, I love
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that you brought up hope, and really that in the spirit of advocacy and the mission of advocacy and speaking up and sharing our stories is absolutely terrifying sometimes, and it's
Mhm.
very vulnerable, and you have to be in a place that you've done the work, right? Like you've done
Mhm.
work around it in order to share it in a way that is um, empowering and
Yeah.
inspires hope, right? So when we share some, like you've talked about some of the leaders that we can think of in our lives who we look up to, it's because they have shared things that they've overcome and survived
Mhm.
and now thriving, and to do that in a way that helps others and
Sure.
offer hope. I love that. I can't wait to read that article.
Yes.
And in Psychology Today. And we'll link it in the show notes as well. So
Yes,
other
yes,
people,
let's.
yes, other people can read about hope. I was attending, when you said that, I attended APA, a conference this year, and one of my favorite workshops was all about hope. And there's so much
Mm,
research. So I'm so curious to read it, because
mm,
in the presentation that they gave, there were several people talking about hope and how powerful it is in healing and growth and all of the things that we love to talk about here, and that there's a lot of research around it going on right now. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Yeah.
So tell
Yeah.
us then, tell us about your passion and your mission for helping people, instilling hope, inspiring hope in people, and in this new program that you're offering.
Yeah, so this program is again, it's all about healing. It's all about becoming the healthiest version of yourself. And toxicity in families and narcissistic abuse is something that I've just been hearing much more about, not just in sessions with clients, but just even in my personal life as well, and people that I know and interact with. And that's what emphasizes like the desire to have developed this program and want to share it, because it is a very common thing. And like many other things, we might feel like we're the only one going through it, and that's often what I will hear is like, I feel crazy in what I'm experiencing. And then again, like the moment you hear someone else say like, oh, I've been through that also, and you're not crazy,
Yeah.
like it's a form of abuse, or just helping someone to understand what's going on. And also just the realization that toxicity can come up in any type of relationship, right? And so this program, I've based it more from a place of healing from like a narcissistic family dynamic, like a toxic family dynamic, whether it's like your family of origin or just a family that you're part of. But it can also be utilized if you're in a relationship, like a romantic relationship with someone who's toxic, or a toxic friendship. I often hear about those. I've been
Mm.
friends with this person for years, but like something just doesn't feel right about it. So I like to share that, so the listeners understand that it doesn't just have to be a romantic relationship. It can be any type of relationship that's in your life that just feels like something's off or something's not healthy about it. And this can kind of help them navigate through it a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So it truly is a across the board relationship dynamic. And I think
Yes.
when you talk about toxic relationships, and I love how you describe just things that we hear when we hear people say, I feel crazy. Am I crazy? What is happening? And earlier you said, you hate to use the word crazy, but we do hear that a lot
Mm-hmm.
in our culture and in our society. And it's kind of one of those like boop, 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 like a
Yeah.
signal that if you're
Yeah.
hearing that, there's something going on that you want to be curious and compassionate about. And
Sure.
when you can join with others who share their story and can say, you're not crazy and you are
Yeah.
not alone, right?
Yes,
Like, how
absolutely.
powerful is that? You
Sure.
are not alone. You are not the only one. Let's work together and heal together, right? Heal and grow
Sure.
together. And that is, I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you're doing this program.
Me too. Another thing that comes to my mind, I had attended a faith-based trauma healing group,
Mm.
I want to say 2 years ago, and I don't think I had shared this in the last podcast episode that I was on, but one of the things that they talked about with trauma healing and being trauma informed is when you see someone's behavior or hear their language that feels off, like something's not right there, to make a conscious effort to take on a trauma informed approach. And that trauma informed approach is like, please tell me what's happened to you,
Mm.
right? So you're coming from a place of, help me to understand. Like, I can see that something's off in your wording. Like if you're being disrespectful or you're coming at me with anger,
Mm.
and I can easily shame you and judge you and criticize you and say you're a bad person and all these things. But or rather, or we can take on this approach. And again, it depends on the circumstances, I guess, but you also have that choice of just like, explain to me, like, help me to understand, help
Mhm.
me. I'm missing information, right? Like, help me to understand what is going on. And I think that missing information component is directly related with a narcissistic family dynamic. Like something feels off to you in being around certain people or being in this dynamic or being in this relationship, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is. And then maybe you start reading about toxicity, or you start reading about, signs of someone who has narcissistic tendencies. And then all of a sudden that light bulb goes off. And then that moment that you can actually identify and label and start understanding what it is that you're in, again, that's when the healing process can begin. So that's what the program starts off teaching, right? Like, let's just give you a little bit of an understanding of what this might look like or sound like. And if that resonates with you, then maybe we're onto something. Like maybe we're starting your healing journey here.
Yes, I love that. We have to know, start off with identifying and understanding, and I love that that
Yeah.
is where you begin with that. And even talking about it here, I think definitely want to come back to your emphasis on the trauma informed approach, because as licensed mental health practitioners, we're on the front lines of helping people navigate trauma, whether it's
Mhm.
trauma that has recently occurred, and or recognizing that the wounds of trauma that has occurred years, decades previously, that
Mhm.
has maybe have not healed altogether,
Sure.
or
Sure.
they have healed, and then something in life happens that kind of makes the scar prickle or kind of opens that
Mhm.
wound again, and that is what
Mhm.
happens in life. There are certain
Mhm.
things where you can, you know have a trauma, attend to it, go to therapy, get treatment, and heal in that moment.
Mhm.
And then there can be some life circumstances that occur later on in life that trigger that
Mhm.
trauma, even though you've healed it, right? So,
Sure. Sure.
in the best case scenario, our old traumatic experiences can be triggered by new life events, things like having a baby, or just there's lots of or going having
Sure.
grieving a loss, right? Lots of
Mhm.
these different life experiences. So it can even be wonderful things that happen, like having a
Mhm.
child, that also is like a trigger to old wounds.
Mhm.
So, I think that just made me want to just emphasize the importance of recognizing that healing and growth is a continuous process, and
Absolutely.
to not
Absolutely.
feel guilty or ashamed to
Mhm.
ask for help. That's what, right.
Mhm.
That's
Sure.
what we're advocating for, I think, in the most loving way, is that it's ask for help, right? That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
And I appreciate that you shared that healing is continuous,
Mm.
because I will have people ask me like, when will I be healed from this? And my response is usually something along the lines of, I don't think that this is something that we heal from, but rather we get to a point where we've done so much work, that it's maybe the symptoms have diminished, or the triggers don't emotionally impact us as strong as they used to,
Yes.
so like it's still there, like that trauma's still there, but maybe it's just more of like an annoying like gnat that's kind of
Mhm.
flying around and gets in your face every once in a while, and then you could swat it away, but as your strength grows and your hope grows and your love grows, and it's possible to live a very happy, healthy life through the ups and downs of a healing journey.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things I love the most about the work that we do is that we get to be on these journeys with our clients and
Yeah.
even our friends and family members, right, in general, who notice these things. What you're saying is, when people are saying, "This happened to me," and if this would have happened to me 3 months ago, I would have reacted so much differently. But because I've been working on my mental
Mm,
health and emotional
yes.
health, I was able to like, it was okay.
Yes.
This happened to me and it
Yes.
wasn't great, but,
Yes.
I was able to, like, navigate it and respond in a healthy way. And
Mm,
those
mhm.
are the celebrations and the
Yes.
rejoicing moments that are like, "Oh, yay, I'm so proud of
Yes.
you and thank you." And to help people recognize those is
Mhm.
also a huge part of our work.
Mhm.
Because
Absolutely.
Right, because we can certainly go through life and kind of notice all of the things that aren't going well.
Sure.
And it takes intentional effort to
Mhm.
pause and reflect and say, okay, but let's find something that has been going well, something you've accomplished, something we can celebrate. And then we like use that energy to keep moving forward in our process of
Yes.
healing and growth.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it. I was gonna say the word celebrate, and then you said it, and I'm like, that happened 3 times already where I was thinking a word, but I was waiting for you to finish, and then you said, I'm like, "Okay, well, that's covered."
Oh,
Think
that's
alike.
great. Yeah, and I love to be able, well, we love celebrating here. And
Yeah,
this
sure.
season 6 of the podcast, our theme is rejoice.
Mhm.
And I think that that is obviously part of celebrating is recognizing joy. As some people, sometimes joy is vulnerable, right? Because
Mhm.
we
Sure.
joy can be very vulnerable and scary because it's like, well, if I'm too
Mhm.
happy, then something bad's going to happen, right? There's
Mhm.
that
Sure.
foreboding joy. But I
Right.
think that is something else that we are in a really good position to help people do is so even
Yeah.
as we're saying this, I'm inviting the listeners to pause and reflect
Mhm.
and celebrate something, celebrate an accomplishment, celebrate a joy in your life at this moment with gratitude, something that's going well for you.
Mhm.
And just notice what happens in your body, right? When
Sure.
we attend to the joy and the celebration.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast last week, and the question that was presented was ask yourself in the morning, how do I want to feel today? Like
Mm,
identify that feeling. And
mm,
I thought to myself, I don't know if anyone's ever presented that to me before. Like, because you just wake up and you start feeling a certain way, and then that's like the feeling. But to like intentionally ask yourself, how do I want to like choose to feel today? And like just something so simple
mm.
but deep. And so I
Yes.
noticed that I've been doing that. Like I woke up the one morning and I was just like, ugh, like the alarm goes off and I don't feel like it, throwing my little internal tantrum, and then I thought of that question and I thought, well, I don't want to feel like this, like I don't want to feel like, ugh, like the day. Like I want
Hmm.
to feel happy. Like I want
Yeah.
to feel excited about the day. And 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 I don't even know where I was going with
I
that,
love
but
that.
just
No,
like
I
another
love it.
another thing that just kind of popped in my head because of something
Yes.
you said,
Hmm.
and just making those intentional choices no matter
Intention.
what you're
Yep.
going through,
Yeah.
like you can still choose, like to try to move in a healthier direction.
Yes. And I love that you talked about all the aspects, right? It's not like pretending you're not like, ugh, right?
Yeah,
Or ignoring the sadness or the emotions that are making us feel like that stuck energy. It's not about ignoring it. It's saying, okay, this is here in my life
yeah,
right now. So I'm going to embrace it, or at least, at least let it sit next to me, if I'm not hugging it. But it's then attending to what is there and
hmm,
then recognizing I have the power to
hmm,
choose what I would like to come. And
hmm,
when we put that out there in that envisioning kind of way, we're then making it much more likely to happen, right? We manifest
sure,
those things when we say, okay, I'm gonna be happy and give a smile to someone and see how you get one back, and it brings you
sure,
joy. Yeah.
sure, absolutely.
So when we talk about this new program, tell us a little bit about how it works.
Okay, so an individual can sign up for lesson one. So, lesson one is about identifying and understanding signs of toxicity and narcissistic abuse, right? Because we can't address anything that we're not aware of. So lesson one is like bringing that awareness up, right? Are these things that are actually happening in my life? And so it comes with a short video that I put together, just kind of explaining it. And then there's a handout with some questions, some prompting questions to kind of write about some of the things that I talk in the video about. And there's also like little visuals and charts and some things that, you know, some bullet points and signs that you can look for. And that's pretty much the basis of how like the lesson is designed to get started.
Great. Yeah. So one of the options is that um, if someone wants the lesson, they can go and get the lesson as its own as its own thing, and go through the video. And you also did a meditation, right? You include a link to a
Yes.
guided
Yeah.
meditation that also kind of coincides
Yes.
with that first lesson.
Yes.
So I
Because I
love
think
that.
where we Oh, sorry. Now, I think where we struggle a lot is with our internal dialogue, and this just
Mm,
goes across the board. This is whether you're in a toxic relationship, narcissistic abuse, or just in general. Like we have that internal self-defeating dialogue that comes up, and so the meditation that is included is really just all about like the I am statements and offering self-love and self-compassion and just saying, you know, I can be patient with myself. I can be kind with myself. I mean, throughout this whole healing journey, whatever that healing journey is, and just taking that pause and breathing. And I think it's just a good reminder across the board, whether, no matter what you're working on.
yes, absolutely. And then also you're going to offer an option where if people want more than just the lesson, so the lesson is
Mhm.
something they can do on their own, it's online, they're, you know, kind of going through that lesson as it fits into their life.
Mhm.
And then there's the other part where if they want more, if they want help and guidance from you, there's that option too.
Yes. Because it is heavy information like that is being offered because I'm very aware that this is deep information. This is a lot to take on, and I even write that like in the welcome note. Like after you purchase the lesson, you'll get a little welcome message from me, you know, and in there I give some tips of just like be patient with yourself as you're reading through this. Take those pauses, take that time, you know, to just kind of reflect or process or cry or
Mm.
whatever you need, because it's a lot of information and it's not always easy. When I was reading through all this and learning about all this through my personal perspective, I had a therapist and then I had another therapist and then I had a spiritual advisor, you know, and just because like I needed, like if I was just left to my own mind, way too much information to be processing on my own, you know. And some people are very good at processing all that on their own, but if you feel like you need that additional just sounding board just for you to say things out loud to kind of clarify it, I think it's good to have that option available if needed.
Yes, awesome. Absolutely. And I love that you kind of say that there's all these different ways, like spiritual and mental and emotional and all these different supports, relational, that we incorporate in our lives to, because we don't have to do it alone. We do not
Right.
have to do this thing
Right.
alone. So it's wonderful for people who may have support and want to add some more support, or maybe don't really know how to have support, and that's part of what is then talked about as well in the option to meet with you, individually. And then also I love that you have a group component.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that, and that goes back to the group setup, goes back to what you said earlier about not feeling alone,
Mm,
right? And I mean, and again, that's knowledge from my profession, also personal experience. You know, the healing groups that I have attended to work through some of my own trauma and toxicity that I've been exposed to. I mean, those groups were some of the most helpful moments for me to just, I remember the facilitator. I might get emotional, but we cry here, so that's
we
okay.
cry
I
here.
remember the one facilitator for the faith-based trauma healing group that I attended. I had shared something, and I don't even remember what the example was now, but her response to me was, that sounds really difficult.
Mm.
And I just looked at her and I was like, yeah, yeah, it was. But again, like, I don't think sometimes we understand the power of healing that can come from a simple phrase,
Yes.
and it's just again, it's just so beautiful, and maybe I can see the beauty so clearly now because I'm like further through my healing journey.
Mm.
But I
Mhm.
remember being at the beginning of my healing journey where it just all felt so challenging and so difficult. um but I think that group component, and I know a lot of people can be hesitant with that because trust, safety, a
Yes.
lot of what you don't feel when you're in a toxic environment, right? But also, like, you're not required to speak. You can just listen. You can just be
Mm.
present and just
Mhm.
listen and take it in. So there's no pressure, of like, oh, I'm going to be called on. I'm going to have to share. No, like, just come as you are. Take what you need, and then we'll go from there.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of that. Some of the most amazing, powerful moments in our work, I know in mine professionally, is during groups,
Mhm.
whether it's group therapy, empowerment circles, but it's the connection of seeing two people who are or two or more, right?
Mhm.
In
Sure.
connection, and offering, whether it's just words, and like you
Mhm.
said, sometimes it's just being there. It's
Mhm.
just bearing witness to the pain. And
Mhm.
whether you have the magic words, we typically don't have the
Mhm.
magic words. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
lovely when we hear them. And it's just so beautiful to
Mhm.
see that, to just be able to be seeing those things happen. And
Sure.
that's why I'm so glad that you're offering this group aspect of it, because here at Visionistas, we see the power of connection. We are specialists in the relationship area to recognize how relationships affect us through our whole lives, right? So
Sure.
recognizing the importance of healing personally and also healing relationally
I think
as
it's
well.
also the realization that we know that everyone heals differently,
Mm.
right? And I think the components of this program reflects that, right? So if you're an individual who maybe feels a little more introverted and you're not ready to speak out loud these things, right? Then maybe the self-directed program is more for where you are right now, and I love to say like phrases like right now or not yet, right? Because we don't want to, say into existence that we're like stuck, right? Like
Mhm.
for now, I don't feel ready to share, but that can change as you heal, right? So if
Yes.
the self-directed feels like the right fit for you, then you stick with that. If you want more support, but you still kind of want to keep it personal, like then the one-on-one. If you want to kind of expose yourself to that new environment of let me just kind of see what other people have to say, so yeah, I appreciate that as well, that there's like those different options to kind of explore.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think about who this is for,
Yes,
who who are we who are we speaking to, and who is this program for?
I would say it's for individuals who are looking at their relationships, and again, not just romantic, but any relationship, parent, sibling, friend, and they're just thinking to themselves, something just doesn't feel right here. Like I'm not feeling fulfilled in this relationship, or I often feel sad around this person, or like they make me question myself, that like, or again, like I hear that statement of I feel crazy a lot. That's the statement that I hear the most in regards to individuals with someone who's been exposed to narcissistic behavior, is that I feel crazy around them. So I would say just individuals who are kind of questioning what's going on, but maybe they just need a little more education or information to identify what's actually happening.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I love that you again address the fact that it can be any type of relationship, right? Sometimes it's even at work, our
Sure,
boss
sure.
or a coworker, a friend, right? And when you're feeling like, why do I feel like I'm always giving, or I'm
Mhm,
feeling like I'm not getting in a reciprocal, respectful way back the kind of energy and time and love that I put into a
mhm,
relationship. These
mhm.
are kind of those red flags that pop up and
Sure.
say, yeah, let's investigate this. Let's dig a little bit deeper. And
Mhm,
like you said, check out the self-directed program at first. But
sure.
the program that includes working with you live,
Mhm,
so it's going to
mhm,
be virtual but live.
mhm.
The group will be virtual but live.
Yes,
An
yes.
individual, right? That can be virtual or in person,
Mhm,
depending
mhm.
on where people live.
Sure.
These kinds of group coaching or individual coaching appointments that go along with the Anew You program are happening
Mhm,
very soon.
mhm. Yes, yes. Yeah, so um, the group, do you want me to say the date
Yeah,
for the
let's say the
first group?
date. Let's
Yeah.
say the date.
Okay, so the first group is expected to be on Wednesday, October 11th at 7 p.m. And again, that will be via Zoom. So whoever's interested in that can reach out, or if you have any questions or concerns about that, we can explore that together before it starts.
Yeah, and we will have the link in the show notes to find out more about the program. It will
Mhm.
officially begin October 1st. So
Mhm.
if you are hearing this before October 1st, you are set to
Mhm.
go and be
Mhm.
within the first group of the Anew You program. You can check it out on our website, visionistasbydesign.com. And again, the link will be in the show notes where you can find out all the different information and access the course and the lesson, and also then connect with Vicky to get started in the program. That's so
Yay.
exciting. Yeah. I think it's an important piece too, as professionals in the mental health field, to recognize that we're throwing around some terms like
Mhm.
narcissism and
Mhm.
narcissistic abuse and narcissistic behavior,
Mhm.
toxic relationships that may or may not be familiar
Mhm.
to our listeners. And so I'm wondering,
Mhm.
Vicky, if you can just give a little bit of help in helping people understand what is
Sure.
narcissistic abuse, or
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. So, as you had shared before, I'm just going to read right from my book.
I love it.
So in chapter 2 in my book, that whole chapter is a description of a narcissistic family dynamic, and it talks about all the different roles and really gives a lot more explanation, which I actually touch base on that in lesson 1 of a New You program as well. So there's overlap there. But narcissistic abuse basically can incorporate all forms of abuse, from like mental, emotional, verbal. It's actually narcissistic personality disorder is actually a mental health condition, in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for attention and admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. But behind that, I guess, facade or whatever that you see is typically an individual that has very fragile self-esteem, and their vulnerability. If they're ever in that vulnerable state, they just can't handle any form of criticism, not even necessarily criticism, but just even if you're trying to have a calm conversation about something, but you're just trying to get them to acknowledge something that they've done, like it can totally throw them into a spiral. So I mean, that's like a very brief version.
Hmm.
But again, like I have another, whole list. There's whole lists of signs and symptoms and things to kind of look out for. But that's a very basic definition to start with.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that is
Mhm.
in your book called Our Rose-Colored Glasses. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
We will
available on Amazon
Yeah,
or through me.
we'll also link that in the show notes as well. So this is something that you have, again, not only help people with, but you've written about it. You've written a book about your experience and also the experience of helping others heal through
Mhm.
these types of toxic relationship dynamics and experiences. And
Mhm.
I'm just so, so, so excited that you are sharing this in this new way, in this
Mhm.
new program with the world. And I love that I'm so honored to be a part of your circle. And
Thank you.
thank you for sharing your experience, sharing your story, being vulnerable. And I know that you're doing that because you have a passion, a purpose, and a mission to help and to help others heal.
I would like to share one more thing, and this
Yes.
is a quote that I actually have, or definition rather, that I have on the flyer for a New You program. And the question is, what is true freedom after narcissistic abuse? And it's written by saying, true freedom is the ability to live your life without fear. It's the ability to expand and create what your heart desires. It's the knowing of how freeing it is to be your authentic self, no matter what a toxic or narcissistic person around you chooses to say or do. And that, like reading that, oh,
I
like, yes, that it's just beautiful, and that's what hopefully being part of this program will do for an individual. Just keywords that, like, your heart, authentic self, freedom, right, the ability to, desires. So that's probably one of my favorite passages to share with individuals about what you can accomplish, what you can obtain through that healing journey of
Mhm.
setting those boundaries and just navigating all of that.
Yes. Yes. Whew, so powerful because when you are in a situation, a relationship, a family dynamic where there is abuse and or narcissism and behaviors that make you feel crazy and question yourself, it's hard to then also acknowledge that you love yourself, right? That you love
Sure,
yourself and
sure.
also to be yourself because you've been
Yes.
told and these messages have been given to you that you're not enough, that you are
Mhm.
terrible and whatever, there's lots of different ways, whether it's directly aggressive and sometimes very
Mhm.
passively aggressive,
Mhm. Sure.
that make us question our own self-worth. And so
Absolutely.
I love that you read that definition and that you are going to help people get that
Yeah.
freedom. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm excited. And I know that, again, like if you're at the beginning part of your journey with this, I wholeheartedly understand like how stuck, you might feel, but it's just start with that first step, that
Mm,
first little step. And maybe that first little step is just reaching out to us, just tell
mhm,
me more. Tell me more
mhm,
about the program, right?
mhm.
And just seeing if it's again like the right fit. And then maybe it's let me just read a little bit of the lesson and see what comes up with that.
Yeah.
But that one step can lead you down a beautiful journey of healing.
Yes. I love that. Take
Yeah.
that
And we
first
love to be there
very
along the way.
yes, we will hold your hand and your heart along the way
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Yes. And so please reach out to us, ask us questions. You can do that through our website. You can email us, you can call the office. All of our contact info is on our website, and it again will be linked in the show notes. We also have resources, a resource page on our website, so that if you are not geographically close to us and want someone that you can connect with in person, certainly we have resources for you to guide you in that way as well.
Mhm.
So thank you so much again, Vicky, for
Yeah.
coming. I do want to. I think one of the things that we talk about here as we close is that not only are you so busy and doing all these wonderful, empowering things in your business, but you're also a mom. Like
Yeah. The best
balancing
job
the
ever.
best job ever, the most rewarding job. And I love that too. I know that and I hear stories and we that's one of the things that we recognize is so important in our work, is that we're balancing a lot of different roles. We're helping our clients, but we're helping our kids, and we're helping our family members and our friends, and we're also, receiving help and support and love from them. And so I think that one of the things that I wanted to mention that for is because it's about balance, right? And it's about balancing all those different roles and doing it with support, connection, collaboration, and love.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's always love at Visionistas.
There's always
So
love. We love here.
yes, it's
Yes.
beautiful.
So certainly check out Vicky's A New You program. Let us know if you have any questions. Share this episode, right? If this resonated with you, or it made you think of a friend or a family member who may need some of this information, encouragement, love, support, please, please, please share this episode. We love sharing the love, spreading the power here. That is one of our missions, is to help as many people as we can in this world with love.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vicky. Have a great rest
Thank
of your
you.
day, and we will see you next.
too.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for connecting on this episode of the podcast, Empowered by Design. For further connection, subscribe to my email list at drliz.com to be sure that you are in the loop for exciting news, events, and resources. You can also follow me on social media at Dr. Liz and at Visionistas by Design. I invite you to subscribe to this podcast and send this episode to one of your people in order to share the love, spread the power. This podcast is designed to inspire, educate, and empower you to pursue your dreams with intentional vision. This podcast is not meant to be a substitute for psychological treatment or a working relationship with a licensed mental health professional. For more information on connecting with mental health resources in your area, visit drliz.com and click on resources. Thank you again for connecting, and remember, trust the heart, work your vision, dream, design, deliver.